Want to have a reusable city worksheet on World Anvil? No problem. There are only a few steps between you and your goal. Let's not waste time and begin right away. Today I will show you step by step how to create this template. So, what do you need? A World Anvil account, of course. For this tutorial it has to be a Grandmaster or above account, since you will make use of custom containers and save your template as a custom article template in the end. Second, you will need the city worksheet for V20 as a template for your creation. If you don't like it, you can use any other city worksheet you want to create as a template. For coding, I use, as usual, Visual Studio Code, which you can download for free from the internet. Once you've collected everything you need, let's begin. Before you actually start creating, have a closer look at every single piece of your template sheet. For the V20 sheet, the different sections are marked by these all caps headlines. These will also make up the sections I want to use in the article template. I do also want to keep the line behind these headlines, so I need to keep this in mind. Next, create a generic article. This will be your design file, where you create the structure, style sheet, and preview it. Assign it the same class you want to assign your template later on. In my case, worksheet. This is easier for styling later on. Within the article, I start by putting the section headlines as an H1BB code tag and embed them into a section tag with the class header line. The video shows that I used sheet line, but the sheet part seems to get targeted by security filters, so I corrected this during the styling process. As you can see within the sheet, we have 4 kinds of prompts we need to target. Inline prompts are set next to each other. Multiple line prompts or multiline prompts have the prompt position inline to the answer field but will cover multiple lines. Then we have a box which has its own border and a label, and last we have the full width answer field. First, I will create the inline prompts. Because of the sheet nature, these parts look very complex at first, but they really aren't that complex at all if you break it down to different parts. First part of the prompt element is the wrapping container. Within this container, I will create a section tag for the prompt. This is mainly to target it with CSS. After closing the section tag, I will add a section for the answer to apply the same styles to these parts. I will copy this construct and paste it everywhere I need inline prompts. If I need to have a line break after one of the prompts, I add a BR tag behind the closing tag of the wrapping container. The multiline prompts are pretty easy to create. I will just copy the full structure of the inline prompt and change the class of the wrapping container. Then I will paste it everywhere I need multiline prompts. The next part I will focus on are the boxed prompts. These are like the one you can see on the V20 worksheet under population. In general, you can break the structure into 3 major parts. First, the wrapping container, which creates the box itself. Second, the section that will make the box label. Third, the box content, which will be made from all the other elements you need in here. To begin, I create an empty box with a label in it. Then I copy it, paste it to the respective places and fill in the contents needed here. The headlines, which are written in a standard typography, will be next. To do this, I just copy the structure of the section headlines and change the H1 tag to an H2 tag. Then I will go through the sheet page by page and insert the necessary headlines everywhere I need them. Now I have to do the full width answer fields. These will give the possibility to have several lines in your answer, maybe even paragraphs. Actually, this is the easiest part of the whole template. I just create a wrapping container with a suitable class. In my case, I gave it the class fullbox. I will copy and paste this element to every necessary part of the template again. That leaves me with the sections devoted to the images. There are several sections which have 4 images in a row. These will get a wrapping container called image roster. The images themselves will also have a separate wrapping container which holds the image and the image labeling. Once I created all the parts, this is how the template looks right now. The CSS for this template is pretty simple. Each of the elements of the template will get a style, but I won't touch anything else. First, I will style all the headlines. To create the line behind the headlines, I start with the styling of the header line class. I will align the items centered, then set the display mode to grid. With grid template columns, I can decide how many columns the raster created that way has. I use 1FR auto 1FR. The height of the respective row is defined with grid template rows. Each number within this element is for one single row. If there are more rows than numbers, CSS will start from the beginning again. In my case, I will set the values to 16 pixels and 0. With grid gap, I will define the margins between the columns and rows. In my case, I decided on a gap of 1.2 rem. To finally create the line, I will need a before and an after pseudo element. Everything I add into these pseudo elements will be shown before and after the header line element. To make the element appear, I will first add a content selector and assign a URL value which will only contain a period. Then I will set display to block and add a border bottom with a 1 pixel width. Next, I will style the text part of the headlines. To do so, I will remove the border on the H1BB code or the H2 HTML element. Then I will style the text as usual for both used headline elements by applying text transforms, letter spacings and colors. For several reasons, I need to set the line height to 0.3 rem for this element to make sure that the lines appear correct. Now it's time to deal with the wrapping containers. For the inline container, I will set display to inline block and add a margin right of 0.5 rem. For the multiline wrapper, I will only add a margin bottom of 0.5 rem. I don't have to change the display here since containers or divs are shelves per se. What this means you've already learned in the CSS tutorials. If you don't remember, I've linked them up above for you. The boxed prompt will get a border. In my case, I add a 3 pixels double, which I like best. In addition, I will add a padding of 1 em and a margin that is 1.5 em top and bottom and 0 left and right. Next, we will style the full width answer. This element will get a background color. The text will be set to italic and I will add a margin bottom of 1 em. With this, the wrapper elements are done and I can move on to the labels. For the inline prompts, it's pretty simple. I will assign a font weight of bold, add a margin right of 0.5 em and set the font variant to small caps. The box label will be the fun part. I will add a background color as well as a font color. Then I will add a padding of 0.5 em and move on to positioning. I will add a position of relative to the element to move it relative to the parent element, which is the prompt box itself. Next, I move the top position until the label is situated at about halfway on the border of the box. In my case, it's minus 1.5 em. The text itself will be transformed to all uppercase with text transform uppercase. Then I will set the font weight to bold and add a letter spacing of 1 pixel. When it comes to the inline answers, I will add the same background color and styles like to the full width answer. In addition, I add a padding of 0.25 rem top and bottom and 0.5 rem left and right. For the image roster, I will add the selector columns and give it a value of 4. This will divide the content within that container into 4 columns. With column gap, I will add a gap of 0.5 rem in between the images. The whole container will also get a margin of 0.5 rem top and bottom and 0 left and right. The images themselves will get a border which is identical to the one I used for the boxed prompt. With all styles and a bunch of spaces, the template looks like this. At this point, I decided to add some image dividers. Starting with the second H1 BB code tag, I added the respective image above each H1 tag. I will also add the attributes no-link and center to the images. So, at this point we are done with the basic template, but we still need to convert it to an article template so you can reuse it. To do so, click on the Studio link in the headline navigation bar of the World Anvil backend. In the upcoming pop-up, click on Article Templates. On the right side of the backend, give your template a name and a description. As parent template type, pick Generic Article. Then click on Create Template. On the right side of your screen, you will now see a list of all of your worlds. Pick those you want to use your template in. Next, add your BB code from your design article under Structure in the Vignette field. Click on Presentation and assign a Font Awesome icon to your new template. Next, move on to the styling. Give your template the same class you assigned to your design article. In my case, this is Worksheet. Then add the CSS you created under Display CSS. Click Save Changes, and that's it. You created your first custom article template. Go back to your dashboard and you will see the new template above all the other article templates. Now you can create a new article with this template and will have your basic structure already in place. So, now you know the second method to transfer the city worksheet to World Anvil. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, let me know in the comments below. I would also be overjoyed if you would leave a like and a sub. Here you can watch the last video or the playlist with all my English tutorials. I will see you next week. Bye!